Can you tell I'm in denial?
You can't stay at the top forever.
I was also very surprised when I looked at my phone and saw Joe Girardi dismissed.
Well, I think mine were with common sense.
I think now belongs in the all-time greats top 10.
Boston, I really think only got to this point because of a guy named Chris Middleton being out for the Bucks.
That power play just was unbearable. It was humming.
Man, am I happy. I knew that this was going to happen. I knew he was going to come back.
When I think of New York Yankees now, is Judge. Probably people in the past when Jeter was coming up.
I would be shocked. A little bit hurt.
Hey, this is Greg Tepper of Dave Campbell's Texas Football, TexasFootball.com, and Valley Sports Southwest. You are listening to Outsiders Opinions with Kevin and Austin.
What's up, y'all? Welcome to our MLB Opinions of the Week. And Austin, I believe this is our final top 10 for the 2026 season and before it really gets going.
Yeah, we have a couple videos coming up for the MLB, so make sure to stay tuned for those. There'll be our World Series or bust. We'll have 3 or 4 teams on there, including a team that just won a back-to-back World Series because of how much additions they've made. But that's one of our big videos. And then obviously the biggest MLB video, or my favorite MLB video of the year, is the year-long predictions. We'll have our predictions and we are incorporating something new. This will be the first time that we're adding something new to our predictions points-wise. To do a little bit of a change there. So make sure to stay tuned for that. But yeah, this is our last preseason top 10, but this is for the season. So this is a prediction of who will be the top 10 relievers for this season. I do have 6 honorable mentions. I know you only have 1, but I have 6. So I'll go into mine.
I'm at 3. I got 3 now.
Okay, I'll let you do your 3 honorable mentions, and I'll do my 6, and then you can do your 10. So just tell me your honorable mentions.
Okay, so I have Aroldis Chapman. He is a very interesting player because
I have him pretty high on my list. I can't.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
I think he's very finicky, and he is bad one year, and then he's great one year. So it's hard for me to predict what he'll be like. So that's why he's an honorable mention, because he had a great year last year, but
he changed something about how he pitched. And I find it hard to believe that doesn't stay.
Okay. So I can understand that. So that's why he's an honorable mention. Then David Bednar, for me, another closer that is now with the Yankees. Did great with Colorado. And then I have Tyler Rogers as well. I think the difficult part was relief pitchers. I wanted to give some love.
The Rockies, by the way. He was with
David Bednar?
Yeah, he's with the Pirates.
Oh, got it. Sorry, I'm thinking of... Who am I thinking of? But didn't he also go to the Yankees at one point? A Rockies closer?
Yeah, but that wasn't...
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Sorry. David Bednar with
Paul
the Pirates.
Blackburn is the guy you're thinking of.
Okay. Yeah, sorry. My bad. And then I have Tyler Rogers, and I think the difficult part with this list was getting closers are fantastic and are the best relief pitcher. So a lot of them are on this list, but I also think there was moments with kind of long guys that can get 1 to 2 innings and that help set up that closer. And that's why Tyler Rogers, to me, deserved to be on that list.
Yeah, Tyler Rogers was not on my list or my honorable mentions, but I do have a pretty lengthy honorable mentions list, which includes Josh Hader. He had an injury-riddled year last year, even though he did have a 2.05 ERA. And he's kind of the guy I think of when I think of inconsistent. He's had some bad moments in his career, but also when he's dominant, he's dominant. Next is Luke Weaver. Before his injury last year, he was one of the best relievers in baseball. Sure, he ended off his his season with a 3.62 ERA. I think that's not the right metric to look at when you're looking at him. He's a dominant reliever when he's on, and I think he'll be very good this season for the Mets. Next is the 2 Brewers relievers, Abner Uribe and Trevor McGill. Then Matt Brash for Seattle and Camilo Doval for the Yankees. I know Camilo Doval's kind of had some shaky years, but the ways that the Yankees coach their relievers, especially, they get good relievers just because of how good their coaching is. I'll go into my number 10. Brian Abreu is my number 10 for the Astros. He's been very consistent over his career. It's very hard to narrow down these 10 relievers. I think all 10 of these relievers are elite relievers. There's not many. That would not be the case for every position, but I do think that all 10 of these guys are elite. Who's your number 10?
So my number 10 is Adrian Morejon or Morejon. I believe he
Are you with the Padres?
Yeah, he's with the Padres, and he's another guy where he would come in for an inning or two. He had a 2.8 ERA, 13 wins, 2.4 WAR, so he could come in and just help get to the bullpen. Had his best year last year with a 2.8 or 2.08 ERA, and then the year before that, when he was 25, he had a 2.83 ERA, and I think he really showed kind of what he could do for that bullpen and set him up for the later innings.
He did not make my list. He was a close cut, though. Who's next on your list?
My number 9 is Josh Hader. Yes, he is inconsistent, and a lot of that inconsistency has come with the Houston Astros because he was dominant for most of his time with the Brewers. And it's hard for me to see how he doesn't get to somewhere close to what he was with the Brewers in Houston. But given his recent track record, that's why he's at 9 for me.
Well, I mean, he did have some poor years with the Brewers. In 2020, a 3.8 ERA. In 2022, his year between Milwaukee and San Diego, he had a 4.24 ERA with Milwaukee that half season. Then with San Diego, he had a 7.11. In that year, he had a 5.22. And then with Houston, he had a 3.8. So he's had 3 seasons since 2020 with a 3.79 ERA or larger. I think that he's had some very poor seasons, but he's also had some very elite ones, which is why he missed my list. I'll go into my 9. That's David Bednar. Bednar's only had one bad season, and that was with Pittsburgh, not last year, but the year before that, 2024. He had a 5.77 ERA, but every other year since his second year of his career, where he only pitched 4 games. His first 2 years, he didn't have a great ERA, but that's 17 games total between his first 2 years, so not a big sample size, especially for a reliever. But in 2021, he had a 2.23, 2022, 2.61, 2023, 2.00. I already said 2024 at 5.77. But then last year at 2.3. I think he'll be around 2 to maybe high 2s, but every year he's been extremely consistent except for 2024 in his last 5 years.
Yeah, and that's something where I understand that. And as you said, a lot of these guys are elite pitchers, and that I think a lot of teams want, and they're always mentioned at the trade deadline, like David Bednar was when he was eventually traded to the New York Yankees.
Yeah.
And then my 8 is a guy I can understand if you have him higher. I think thinking about Milwaukee and just kind of what they do with pitching, it makes sense for how good pitchers they did. But I was really concerned about Devin Williams, and he's 8 on my list because of that. New York, he had a 4.79 ERA, which was his worst ever in the big leagues. And I think you could see there's moments at the end of his career in Milwaukee, especially in the playoffs, where it may have been where he was tipping pitches, but before that, he had a under 2 ERA the past 3 years. It's just I am concerned, and now he's going to the Mets. So I am curious to see how he pitches there. So that's why he's low on my list.
I do have him higher. Not crazy high, but I do have him higher. Again, I've seen relievers have very bad seasons. Like I said, Josh Hader especially sticks in my mind for a guy that's had a couple bad seasons. But I think that he'll turn it around this year. My next guy is Griffin Jacks. He didn't have necessarily the best season last year, but the Rays really know how to teach pitching. There's a couple of teams that if they get a good reliever, talent-wise, to go there, even if he doesn't have the best statistics, I think he's going to turn into something great, and that's how I feel about Griffin Jacks.
Yeah, he's someone that I can understand, and this is for 2026, so we can see how he does. But he did not make my list, but yeah, it is understandable to have a Rays guy like that. My 7 is Garrett Whitlock. with the Boston Red Sox. And he's someone that pitches a lot of innings out of the bullpen. 2 years ago, he only pitched 18 innings, but last season, 72. And he's pitched at least 70 in all the other seasons besides that 2024 season. He had a 2.25 ERA. And then that was a really great year for him. And I think that's something that he will do for the Red Sox as being a setup guy and a guy that can handle multiple innings out of the bullpen.
Okay, yeah, he didn't make my list. My next guy is Cade Smith for the Cleveland Guardians. He may be a little bit higher on your list. I just need to see him be a consistent top level, like the main go-to guy. He's been up there, but now without Clase, because of what happened, I think that he'll be a little bit more high leverage. Sure, they still have Hunter Gaddis, who's still really good, and they have some other guys who are really good, but I think losing Clase hurts. I think Clase would, I know Clase would be on this list, because last year, even with what happened, he still had a 2.71 FIP and was a pretty good reliever in his in the games that he pitched. But without him, he's going to be in more high leverage situations. I just don't know how he's going to pitch in those. So that's why I have him at 7.
Yeah, I do have him a little bit high, similar to Griffin Jacks. I think he really burst onto the scene, given that has some experience, but not as much experience because of Clase. Now he's up there because of what happened. So I think he really burst onto the scene. So that's why I'm pretty high. But I'll go into my 6, which is Robert Suarez. He burst onto the scene a couple years ago, spent all his years with San Diego, and this year he'll be with Atlanta. And he's a guy that can be a closer, but also had a lot of innings for San Diego the past 2 years, out of the bullpen with at least 65. Last season, he was only a third from getting to 70 innings. So he did all that with a 2.97 ERA. So I think he'll do well, but I am curious how he does with the change of scenery.
Yeah, he did not make my list. He was a close cut as well. My number 6 is Aroldis Chapman. Chapman switched where he aims. He's now aiming. Never used to do that. Never used to try to pinpoint his pitches. Now he does that. And I think that change was huge for him. He still has the arm strength, but even if he's not pitching at 102 miles an hour every pitch, his ability to pinpoint, which was extremely, extremely productive last year, makes it very hard to hit him. And I think that as long as his accuracy is even close to what it was last year, he'll be a top 6 reliever in 2026.
I'm very interested with Chapman because he has been on a lot of different teams, but really found his way back on the Red Sox. The Rangers, he did win a World Series, but there are moments where he caused a lot of stress. So I am interested to see how he continues to do this season. I'll go into my 5, which is Andres Munoz. The Mariners are a team that is starting to get a reputation with just how well they develop pitching. And you talk about speed and just that 100 miles per hour on a pitch. And that's really something that Munoz does along with his slider. Had his best ERA last year as a 1.73, best WAR. And he did that while pitching 62 innings. I think he's someone that can really develop and continue to just develop. You talk about Chapman pitching. Munoz has the speed now. He's kind of aiming. I'm not sure exactly what his approach is, but he's been doing well, and I think he continues to get better as he's only 26 and he'll be 27. So really entering that prime of the MLB closer position.
Yeah, we'll get to him in a second. My next guy is Devin Williams. I think that he turns back last season and just doesn't do anything like he did. I think that he'll be back to his Brewers form, and the Yankees form won't be there. And if that's the case, I think he'll have potentially a sub-2 area like he did. I'll quickly go into my 4. My 4 is Andres Munoz. Munoz was an amazing pitcher, and I think these top 4 guys are definitely a league of their own, especially for this season. But Munoz was amazing last year, and a big reason why the Mariners made it as far as they did in the playoffs.
Yeah, I can understand that. I think with my top 5, I'm pretty excited about that. My 4 is Joan Duran, and he's someone that now is with the Philadelphia Phillies. He was fantastic with Minnesota. And before he was traded, he had a 2.01 ERA, then a 2.18 ERA with the Philadelphia Phillies. I think continues to do well. He's a guy that I think has struggled with control, but he just has that speed and that it's hard to hit a guy that's throwing 100, especially in such a short amount of time that these closers come in, because they really only have one inning and they really unleash it. And it's hard for hitters to really quickly adjust to that.
Yeah, that's a great point. That was your 4, right?
Yes, that was my 4.
So I'll go into my 3. My 3 is Mason Miller. Miller did have a little bit of a down season last year in his first year with the Padres. I think that Miller I think he'd be better if they tried to make him a starter because of how hard he pitches. Now, they don't necessarily have to do that. I guess with the Padres, he did have a .77 ERA. With the rest of the season, he had almost a 4 ERA with the Athletics. He has a 2.81 career ERA. I do think his ERA will be below 2 this year, but I think that will also be true of the next 2 guys on my list.
I'm very curious what we have, because I have Cade Smith as my 3. You talked about him. I think he's really going to come along the scene with the Guardians and just see how well they do. 2.93 ERA. He's 26, but I think he really continues to do well and just builds in that role that has opened up for him.
Yeah, I'm just a little bit less confident that he can be. We've seen all the other guys be closers before and be high leverage guys. While Cade Smith has had some big high leverage moments in his career, especially in the playoffs, I need to see that happen for a whole season for me to put him above those other guys I have above him.
All right, so who's your 2?
My 2 is Edwin Diaz. Diaz pitched amazingly last year, and now he's on the Dodgers. It's a sad life that we live, Kevin, where the Dodgers get everyone that they ever could dream of. And Edwin Diaz has had 1, 2, 3, 4 seasons below a 2 ERA, including last year at 1.63. He has had some off years, especially 2024, but the 2024 was right after he tore his Achilles. So, I don't know necessarily how much I believe that's necessarily what it was. He also had an off year in 2021 and 2019. But outside of those 3 years, he's been amazing. And I think that with the Dodgers, he'll pitch even better.
Yeah, that is the sad thing about Edwin Diaz, and just a theme of our top 10s is a lot of them are Dodgers, and he's my 2 as well. He's fantastic, and it's just sad that he's going to be doing it for the Dodgers because they got even better when they didn't really need it. Well, I think we have a disagreement on 1, which is funny because we agreed on so many, but on the last one we disagree. This is where I have Mason Miller at 1. Yes, I think he's done well in Oakland. Yes, there were moments last year where he struggled. I think his speed of just how he can throw and just the different arsenal he has makes it very difficult. And I think he continues to grow in it. But I understand with what the argument for the Padres of developing a starter out of him because of his arsenal and because of how much they gave up for him. But right now, I think he'll be a fantastic closer for them.
Yeah, I get that. I just have one guy, or I guess I have a couple guys above him, 2 guys above him. But this is a guy who also throws the ball even harder than Mason Miller, Johan Duran. I think that Duran will be the best closer in the sport this year. Last year, he had a 2.06 ERA. The year before that, he had a 3.64, but his FIP was lower at 2.85. So it really was a little bit of the fielding in Minnesota. And before that, 2.45, and his rookie year, 1.86. I expect his ERA to be extremely low this season. In 7 games in the postseason, 8.2 innings, 0 ERA. In the most important innings of his career, which obviously take place in the playoffs, he has yet to allow a single earned run. And I think that his combination of extremely fast fastball and the splitter that he also throws extremely hard is just so hard to hit. And with the Phillies, I think that he can obviously have more high leverage moments, but I think that he will come to the plate.
Yeah, I can understand that. There's an argument to be made, and I'm very excited to see how all these guys do and where they end up, depending on if some are traded. Let us know your thoughts in the comments. We appreciate you listening to Outsiders Opinions.